It's the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show, brought to you by Stock Car Steel and Aluminum and SRI Supplies. Here's tonight's Speed 77 Radio Race Chaser Online Crew Chief, Tom Baker.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another Thursday Night Thunder, as we call it. You are listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show here on the Performance Motorsports Network. My name is Tom Baker. I am joined by my Race Chaser Online managing editor, Jacob Seelman, and we are going to have a host of drivers and special guests going to be joining us throughout the program, talking NASCAR, ARCA, and many other things for the next couple of hours. Sit back and enjoy. We hope you have a great time. We are going to enjoy this show a bunch. Jacob Seelman, the Newswire has been really hopping these last couple days, and a lot of the news that we're hearing seems to center around the Truck Series. A couple of drivers in the last day or so have made some announcements about 2016.
Yeah, well, we're getting there. I mean, it's not. There's a few that have made announcements. There's a few that are working on making announcements. We're certainly getting there. So I will start with the Truck Series, and then we can move kind of up the ladder here, Tom, because actually
Sure.
The Truck Series, the only one of the three national series that doesn't right now have a schedule for next year yet. So we'll start there, though, because the Newswire was jumping today on Kyle Busch Motorsports for 2016, and a couple of drivers who appear to be getting their shot for 2016. One driver going to be jumping in to fill the void left when Eric Jones moves to the Xfinity Series, and it's going to be big. Christopher Bell heading to the what would be the full-time seat. I don't want to call it the four truck because I'm not so sure that it's going to be the four truck, but Christopher Bell going to be the full-time driver for KBM in 2016, as will William Byron. Now, this was a little caveat that we didn't expect, Tom, because we saw him in the Junior Motorsports, Hendrick Motorsports ladder. A report by Motorsport.com had Byron part-time, and then KBM fires the bullet, says, nope, we're taking two trucks full-time to go for a driver's championship. Cody Coughlin and Daniel Suarez going to share the remaining entry, the rotating car, or truck, as it would say. And it looks like for the first time in, good grief, I don't even know how long, Kyle Busch will compete maybe 3 races. I don't know. Kyle Busch may finally be just about on his way to letting the younger guys take care of things in the Truck Series, because Cody Coughlin, Daniel Suarez, each going to have at least 10 races. You got to think Kyle may run a couple, but that's about all that's left if each of them are running 10. You got 3 races left out there, because if we're going by this year's schedule, you got 23 races to work with. It's interesting, though. I will say this. A lot of young talent. Obviously, KBM continuing the hallmark of being one of the biggest development teams in the Truck Series, but also gathering up just about the most talent that there is. So I like this move. Toyota did a really good thing. I swore they were going to find a way to screw it up a couple of months ago, but Toyota managed to keep Christopher Bell in the family. It would have been a travesty if they had lost him, but they learned from their past mistakes and have managed to hold on to, in my opinion, one of the favorites for the championship next year. I say that begrudgingly, Tom, but I can't deny the kid's good.
Well, I mean, look, this is going to be a very interesting situation for KBM, I think. You know, you've got William Byron going over there, who, you know, we were speculating may go to Junior Motorsports. But as I said to you earlier, if you're going to put together a truck program, then you start with the team that really is about the best team there is in the series, and that's Kyle Busch Motorsports. You see if there's anything there, and then you move forward. And so William has found a home. We assume Liberty University will go with him.
Indeed.
So Byron is certainly going to be an interesting addition. He can grow into the truck series for as long as he needs to. And so I think, obviously, it was a great move for Williams' camp and certainly a good pickup for KBM. And, it makes it a little bit of a different situation. As you said, it seems like the younger guys, you got Christopher Bell coming in. It seems like the younger guys are really going to be the majority of the truck races for KBM next year, and I'm actually happy not to see Kyle doing much truck racing if that's what happens, for the simple fact that he's got plenty of other action in the Xfinity and the Cup Series, and I think it opens up more opportunities for younger guys. Now, one of the things that has happened with this year's mix is that they came with, and it helps because Kyle didn't need to worry about taking a lot of races in the trucks. He's got drivers coming in with their own marketing partners, as we like to call them. So they're bringing the money. So Kyle doesn't have to worry about fulfilling any obligations for a sponsor who says, yeah, I'll sponsor the kid for X races, but I want you for X races as well. So this gives Kyle a chance to focus on being an owner. He's got some fantastic people involved in that organization as crew chiefs and managers and things like that. So he can focus on winning a Sprint Cup championship in 2016, and also
that's a mouthful.
Whatever. Yeah, it is for me tonight, it seems, and also whatever Xfinity. Xfinity Series racing he needs to do to fulfill his commitments on that side of things. But this is a great move, and a couple of very, very good young drivers. It's going to be real interesting to see how William Byron does in the series. Christopher Bell's had a little bit of time. William Byron, of course, coming in for the first time, and so it'll be interesting to see how that all works out.
Yeah, it really will be. So you have that to lead off with, and then you have your second, Tom, lead story for the weekend, that being the fact that the NASCAR Xfinity Series and the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series schedules for 2016 were announced on Monday. Why is this big? Well, there's not a lot of changes in the schedule, so that's not why it's big. What's important about this is not only do we finally have dates to work with for next year, but Tom, we have, in my opinion, one of the most unprecedented moves in all of NASCAR over the 65-year history of this sport. A 5-year sanction agreement for the tracks with the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series and the NASCAR Xfinity Series put in place, meaning these tracks that are on the schedule now, maybe not necessarily their number of dates, but at least the tracks themselves have comfort that for 5 years, all the way through the 2020 season, they're going to have a space on the Sprint Cup schedule. That, for fans, at least as far as planning when they're going to hit the tracks, for tracks from a business standpoint, is a huge, huge move. I wasn't expecting it at all, but the more I thought about it, the more I thought to myself, well, this isn't so bad.
Well, no, it's great. And one of the reasons you mentioned from the track standpoint, you mentioned good for business. It's good for business in terms of just everybody's security that works for the track, but it's also great so now the tracks can go out and try to, again, attract the corporate interests, sponsors and whatever, and sign them to longer deals because they have the security of knowing that they've got that 5-year window with NASCAR. So this really makes things a lot more appealing from that side of the coin as well. And of course, for the fans who now know pretty much what's going on in Sprint Cup and I think they've got the schedule on the Cup side about as good as they can make it. I really wish Atlanta wasn't so early in the season. I think it's the weather in Atlanta, Georgia, that time of year is certainly dicey at best from a positioning standpoint. I really wish they would put that at least 6 to 8 weeks later. But, other than that, I think the schedule's about as good as it can be. And we obviously can all sit back now and just look forward to the next 4 or 5 years knowing that pretty much what we've got now is what we're going to have.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing per se. I am a little disappointed for Little Iowa Speedway. I really had hoped we were going to get a Cup race for them. But the good thing is, my sources, Tom, are telling me that the first Xfinity race in June is going to be paired with a Camping World Truck Series race that Friday. My gut tells me we're testing the waters here. And if a doubleheader works, maybe down the road figure out, the second race in August being a doubleheader, Xfinity and Sprint Cup, or perhaps a triple header for that June weekend, and, work things out so that when you put a Cup race at Iowa, the timing is right and the right pieces are in place to do so. They don't want to rush it, and I don't blame them for that. Iowa's taken a great amount of time to ensure that the events they do have are smash hits right now. That's exactly what they've got at that facility. And I don't blame them for not wanting to change the philosophy that's gotten this far, because it's really, really worked.
I agree, and it'll be interesting to see what happens down the road if there ever even is a Cup race in Iowa. Certainly, I think it's something a lot of fans would want to see, but there has to be a desire on the Speedway's part, first of all, and then, of course, NASCAR's part to be able to accommodate them in some way, shape, or form. So we'll keep track of that. In the meantime, lots to look forward to tonight. We've got Charlotte Motor Speedway PR Director Lenny Baticki. We've got 3 different drivers, a Top Arca rookie Kyle Weatherman, modified racer Ryan Preece, who is running Sprint Cup this weekend, and will talk to us about the rest of his season. Big news off the press today about that. And 14-year-old Tyler Ankrum will be joining us as well to talk about his big win at Hickory Motor Speedway last weekend. Lots to come. Stick around right where you are, back around the turn. You are listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Okay, so Sarah, I'm dropping you off at Emily's?
Yep.
And Josh, you're going to?
Soccer, Dad. Soccer practice.
Right. Oh, by the way, I just wanted to let you know when I pick you both up, I'll be wearing my short shorts.
What?
No!
Yep, and my dorky dad hat, and I'm going to do my dad dance for all your friends. They'll love it!
Seriously? Why?
Because I like my short shorts. Of course, I could be talked out of it if you guys would just buckle up your seatbelts without giving me a hard time.
It's important to get your kids to buckle up for safety, no matter what it takes. And sometimes, all it takes is your parental powers of persuasion.
Okay, we're buckling up.
See, all buckled.
Good choice. I'll just have to do my dad dance at dinner time. What?
No!
Do what you have to make sure your kids are wearing their seatbelts, even on short drives. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.
Parents, your son or daughter has had their license for a while now, but you want to make sure they're prepared for any situation they may face on the road. High school driver's ed doesn't teach them to drive defensively. They need to be prepared for any highway emergency. For less than a month's insurance, and a whole lot less, BSR instructors at Summit Point Motorsports Park in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, will teach your son or daughter how to respond instantly and positively to unexpected situations on the road. BSR's specialized accident avoidance training teaches swerve to avoid maneuvers at highway speed, ocular driving, which focuses driving attention on ways to avoid accidents, vehicle dynamics and feedback, skid control and skid recovery, threshold braking on straights and progressive braking on curves, and off-road recovery techniques. This is stuff driver's ed simply doesn't teach. So call BSR today, 304-725-8444. Give your kid the skill set needed to drive safely and responsibly on the highway. That's 304-725-8444.
This is a test to find out if you know it all when it comes to children. Name one of the leading killers of U.S. children age 1 to 13. What's the best way to protect children in a car crash? At what age and size should a child start using a booster seat?
Don't assume you know it all when it comes to car seats for your child. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat and know for sure. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
And now, back to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show with Speed 77 Radio's most follically challenged host, Tom Baker.
Welcome back to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show here on PMN. Tom Baker, Jacob Seelman, and now our assistant editor and Northeast correspondent, Kyle Magda, joins us, all of us from RaceChaserOnline.com. Today's racing news, yesterday's racing history, and tomorrow's racing stars. Talking with you for a couple of hours here on PMN, and definitely when it comes to the NASCAR wire and all of the goings-on leading up to Martinsville, Jacob, so much stuff happening. Of course, we had a very eventful weekend at Talladega last weekend, and then with all the news that we've been talking about in the first segment, and now we start to focus on Martinsville Speedway, and the plot just continues to thicken because, particularly with the truck series, you have got a lot of trucks that are on site at Martinsville ready for action this weekend, and it's good to see a good, strong field. And as much as on one hand you hate to see anybody have to go home without qualifying, the fact that they're going to send that they may have
7 trucks now.
7 trucks home says a lot about the potential health of the series, not to mention that we had a new team announcement today in the series, new team forming for 2016.
Yeah, we did. Austin Wayne Self of the ARCA Racing Series, his dad is starting a Camping World Truck Series team in 2016 under the Toyota banner. They're going to have Triad Power, just like Thor Sport Racing does, just like KBM does. So we know they're going to have potent horsepower underneath the hoods. They did not confirm any drivers or sponsors today. However, they did say they will be for sure running 1 truck full-time, possibly running a 2nd truck. Not sure yet where that all comes in, but more announcements going to be forthcoming. So, again, the truck series is slowly on the rebound. I know Kyle Busch and Brad Keselowski are a little bit nervous about the health of that series right now. I personally am not, unless there's something that they as team owners know that I don't, but looking at it from a media perspective, this series is really starting to get back somewhere. If they can pull in a couple more short tracks, and, get back to the roots of what this series was founded on, we'll really be going in the right direction. But I was happy to see that, and I really do think it gives you a good tip-off that Austin is probably going to be running the truck series in 2016. Yeah, what you would think, wouldn't you? And
sorry, Dad, I just don't want to do it.
I know. By the way, while we're talking about all this fresh news right off the wire here, both the AM Racing announcement and just moments ago now, the Camping World Truck Series announcement from KBM up on Race Chaser Online. You heard us talk about it. Go read it now if you've not already been, and check out all the news of the day. Kyle Magda, I was talking about in the first segment the fact that the mysterious Truck Series schedule has not been revealed yet, but I've had a few people tell me it's because they're still working on a few things as far as dates are concerned, potentially as far as tracks are concerned. That I do like to hear.
Yeah, well, the one thing I do know is they're returning to my home track of Pocono. That I know for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one would think, surprisingly, that's one of the best truck races of the year. I can't believe I'm saying that about anything at Pocono, Tom, but, they can draft at Pocono because they punch a hole in the air, and it's actually halfway competitive.
Well, no, it's exactly right. I mean, the trucks are really kind of made for that track in a way. It works very well for them, and it's hard to, that's just a very, very tough scenario because it being a trial or a triangle, it's really, really difficult to put on a good show there for some reason for the cars. I suspect that the Indy cars, if depending again, I'm hearing some conversation about some different things going on over there on that side with aero reduction and such, downforce reduction. So the Indy cars might just surprise next year as well. But I think the trucks probably and the ARCA cars even put on as good a show as anything that runs there.
Oh, I agree. So, we'll keep our eyes peeled as we get closer to 2016. But, Tom, you mentioned we're going to Martinsville this weekend. Grandfather Clock's on the line. We're looking at the truck that won last time we were at Martinsville has a driver who's never made a Truck Series start going to be behind the wheel of it this weekend. You've got on the Cup Series side, chasers that are looking to stave off elimination with a victory. You've got a young modified star in Ryan Preece who is going to be racing this weekend in the 98 car. It's, there's a bevy of storylines, Tom. There's your word of the day that we're following this weekend. Yes, bevy. There's been a bevy of news, and now there's a bevy of storylines. But, the one thing remains true every time we go to Martinsville. Everybody wants a clock.
I'm enjoying a bevy during the show as well. I mean, that grandfather clock is the prize of all prizes when it comes to unique trophies. Certainly the biggest races are the trophies that you won, and I wouldn't consider either of Martinsville's races big in the magnitude of a Daytona 500, but that grandfather clock is one of the most unique rewards in all of motorsports, and certainly everybody wants it. And one of the amazing combinations of driver and car has to be, or driver and truck as it is, would have to be Austin Cindric. I mean, Austin replacing another Austin Terrio, who was injured a few weeks back in the 29 truck for Brad Keselowski Racing. And I think Austin Cindric is going to be a contender to win right out of the box with that truck on this track. And, it really is interesting because with Austin going sports car racing next year, it's going to be, I had thought this might be a precursor to more NASCAR stuff. But it certainly, if nothing else, is a golden opportunity. And we know how adaptable Austin is, Kyle Magda. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see him come out of the box and be running up in a podium spot when this race ends.
Yeah, that's news to me, Tom. I didn't know he was going sports car racing next year. What team is he driving for? Have you seen anything yet?
Okay. So let me step in here and clarify things for both of you. He's going to be everything I've heard from the Ford camp right now. He's going to be driving for the same team in Multimatic Motorsports that he was driving for this year in the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge Series. That's a continuation of that deal. He, I've not heard anything different from that side of things, that he won't be back with Multimatic next year. Obviously, he's got a great thing going in the Global Rallycross. I know he's looking to make some select starts in that car again as well. I mean, you got to keep in mind, this is a kid that's grown up in, not worrying about points, not worrying about where or what he's racing, just that he's racing in something, and he enjoys jumping from series to series, doing whatever the heck he wants when he wants to do it. So, could it lead to more NASCAR stuff? Possibly. Am I convinced it's going to be, all of a sudden, hey, we're going full-time in the 29 next year? I don't think so. I think you would have heard a lot more talk about that up to now if that's what was going to happen. I could see a couple more short track starts, though, depending on the situation. I do know, though, that BKR really would like to put Austin Terrio full-time in one of those trucks next year. I think potentially you see Reddick and Terrio full-time in those two trucks next year. That's just my 2 cents on it right now, but I'm buying that.
Yeah, I mean, with what they're doing right now, I mean, we don't know what Austin Cindric, I mean, what you're saying is what's probably going to happen with Austin Cindric. I mean, we could see him run some more ARCA races, too, I mean, depending on his schedule. He is old enough to run Pocono next year. I know I keep bringing up Pocono, but that's what ARCA says. He could be 17 years old and run Pocono in Kentucky. He almost won Kentucky up until a tire went down. But yeah, I mean, I think Tyler Reddick's going to stay in that 19 truck. I mean, you've seen the speed out of that truck all season long. And 2 wins on the year, still in the championship battle. There's a lot going on right now, Tom, and Austin Theriault trying to come back, from his injury and get there in the Truck Series.
Yeah.
I know, they could be 2 really big contenders next year. We have William Byron now, and I think I just let the cat out of the bag there because we didn't discuss it yet. But with Kyle Busch Motorsports.
No, you missed it.
We actually did. You were a little late to the dance here.
That's okay.
We covered that right off the top. Yeah.
Christopher Bell, William Byron. I mean, it's going to be a really interesting field next year, Tom.
It really is, and I think Theriault's situation is obviously going to depend entirely upon funding, and we'll see how that works out. But I would love to see Austin Theriault. As Jacob mentioned, I'd love to see him get a full-time shot in the 29 truck, and I'd love to see Reddick back in the 19. That would be a very formidable team, Jacob, if those 2 ran the full season. I would think both of them would be legitimate contenders for the championship, as Reddick is at this moment.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And Reddick is not done in this championship fight. He's now second in points. He's 18 out of it. There's 4 races to go. It's not done. It's not going to be easy, but keep in mind, it's all too easy for Eric Jones to fall into a trap or have some sort of a problem like Matt Crafton did last week at Talladega, at Martinsville, at Phoenix. These are 2 tracks that like to chew up race trucks and take drivers' numbers and, keep them for later. So I'm not inking Eric Jones's name on this championship trophy quite yet. You give him an 18-point lead with 2 races to go, going to a track in Phoenix where he's won twice before. I think he's the 2-time defending winner of the race, as a matter of fact. Then maybe I'll go ahead and say, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's got it. But I'm not ready to give it to the 4 truck quite yet. No, it's just one of those things, and that's the best championship battle outside of the Sprint Cup Series, and it's an authentic championship battle because there's no chase involved. That's what I like there. We'll talk more at the national level a little bit later on in the show. Right now, we're going to do a little bit of business, and around the turn, Lenny Baticki joins us, and we're going to talk a little bit different material here on the show. We're going to go to the dirt and talk short track racing in the form of the Bad Boy Buggies World Finals coming up next weekend at the dirt track at Charlotte. That's up next after these words. You are listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show here on PMN, the Performance Motorsports Network.
You own a performance car and you know how to drive, but you want to learn real performance driving. Well, Bunky, get that car off the street and onto the track. Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier road racing facility, located just over an hour from D.C. in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, is the place to go. And you'll find that Friday at the Track is going to give you what you need. For less than a monthly car payment, you can attend this regularly scheduled one-day instructional event in your street car on one of Summit Point's 3 world-class road racing circuits. You'll receive classroom instruction, skid pad instruction in their cars, including front and rear skid control, and 4 20-minute in-your-car instructional sessions from a professional instructor. Have fun, go fast, and really learn how to drive. Call 304-725-8444 for class schedules and details. That's 304-725-8444. Friday at the Track at Summit Point Motorsports Park.
Every 30 minutes, another innocent person is killed due to a drunk driver.
My best friend. My brother. My poor grandchild.
My sister.
My father.
My husband.
My mom. My mommy.
Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I've built my life around you.
Stop these tragedies before they happen. Don't drink and drive.
The Performance Motorsports Network is a compilation of shows about motorsports. From technical to controversial to just fun, everything you like about racing and gearhead stuff is right here on one internet channel. The Performance Motorsports Network. Tell your friends about it.
Hi, I'm Reed Sorensen. Racing has been a part of me and my family for as long as I can remember. I had to make tough choices early on to get to the top. It took hard work and dedication. But it's those tough choices that help me prepare for the challenges I would face as a cup driver. Make the right choices today and be ready for the challenges tomorrow. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
The Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show continues now on the Performance Motorsports Network. And here's your host, Tom Baker.
Welcome back to Thursday Night Thunder here on the Performance Motorsports Network, otherwise known as the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show. Tom Baker, Jacob Seelman, Kyle Magda, all of us from RaceChaserOnline.com. Today's racing news, yesterday's racing history, and tomorrow's racing stars. Check out the site frequently on a daily basis as we do update throughout the day with up-to-the-minute news and analysis of all kinds from top to bottom, and all kinds of different racing involved as well. Right now, we go back to the Race Chaser Hotline, and joining us, our first special guest of the evening, and a very special guest as well. We always enjoy having Lenny Baticki on the show anytime he gets a few minutes. He is the host of PRN's At the Track on the Performance Racing Network, and he is also the PR director and one of the voices of Charlotte Motor Speedway. Lenny Baticki, welcome back to the program. We are happy to have you on, and are you ready to get dirty in a couple weeks or what?
Oh, my gosh, yes. First off, thanks for having me on. Thanks to you, Jacob, Kyle, Big Mike, and the whole group there. Because it's always a lot of fun, whether we're talking about the neat things happening at the dirt track at Charlotte Motor Speedway, ZMAX, wherever. I just enjoy the camaraderie that the bunch of us have sitting there bench racing and getting ready for a week from tonight where all dirt roads lead, the greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws World Finals about to explode onto the sphere for the closeout of the big season. You know, they're racing tonight. The late model guys are racing up at Ray Cook's in Brasstown, North Carolina. You got the USDS guys coming. Jacob Seelman going to be on the mic tomorrow night. Gastonia, Carolina Speedway, and Cherokee Speedway. But the convergence of all the series, including the big block modifieds, happen a week from today. And I can't believe that there's still tickets available. I know that we're honed in on a sellout for Saturday night. Folks got to get it done. They've got to get over there. If this thing's going to be incredible, the convergence of drivers coming to this one and all hunting one thing, that amazing trophy at the end of it on Saturday.
We're very excited, needless to say, about being a part of that once again, and looking forward especially to Thursday night next week. We will be broadcasting live from the World Finals, Lenny, and we appreciate you and the staff at Charlotte Motor Speedway being so welcoming to us once again.
Hey, it's an honor to have you guys. You feel it, you live it, and that's why people tune in to you. We're glad to have you on property, telling the folks the inside scoop from the pits all the way to the racetrack itself, and certainly look forward and hope folks will be tuned in to your show next Thursday.
All right, so Lenny, I do want to go back to something you said a minute ago, and I'm scratching my head trying to believe it, because this has to be the first World Finals in, gosh, I don't even know how long. I mean, how are we talking about still having tickets available? Are you kidding me?
Well, I think the weather has shaken people over the last month, but if you start looking at it, the wild thing about the weather for next week is that they're talking about 60-plus degree weather for the World of Outlaws World Finals at the dirt track. This could be one where we need to print more T-shirts instead of more hoodies for a change, because it's looking that good. And I think folks have just, they've forgotten about that there's an outdoors because of the weather that we've been, succumbed to over the last week. Weedsport got rained out for the big block guys, so folks are kind of, backed off there. But I'm not afraid that next week it will be a packed house. I'm telling folks that while there is the lull and people aren't thinking about it, grab the better seats now while you can to the World of Outlaws World Finals at the dirt track by just going to CharlotteMotorspeedway.com. They'll be able to get great seats right now while they're listening to us.
And, that's what we love, and that's what we're excited about, Lenny. This is, one of the most talked about, one of the most anticipated events in all of dirt track racing anywhere in the country, really anywhere in the world. I mean, you talk about every single year the convergence of not just drivers from the 3 series, the World of Outlaws Sprint Cars, late models, and the big block modifieds for the Super Dirt Car Series, but the convergence of fans. I mean, there have been years where you've had fans from all 50 states and multiple other countries just to come to this track, this event, this race. That's how much it means to dirt track fans across the world.
And we're starting to get those ticket reports in about those states, and I don't doubt again that we're going to have all of the continental United States, and probably slip in a Hawaiian and Alaskan, and certainly some Australians and folks from England, and who knows where else they'll be, because this is one of those bucket list events. If you're listening and you like racing of any kind, it doesn't matter. Getting to this one is one that you need to make the trip to, whether it's next week or next year. It's one that you guys know. It is so awesome. And when you're looking at the big blocks and the guys that will come in, make the trip from the Northeast to do battle on the track at the dirt track, the Billy Deckers, the Billy Pounches, the Sheffords, all of them there just from the big block range. And then, those guys over on the Lucas Oil Series, well, they want to come in here and slap around the World of Outlaws guys. Clanton and Eckert and Josh Richards, they're going to have to defend their turf against the Bloomquistes, the Jonathan Davenports, the Jimmy Owen, and that's what's really cool about the late models. And then the Winged Warriors, hey, you got the USCS that you'll be calling Jacob, and then the ASCS and the All-Star Circuit of Champions. All those drivers that run in those other series, this race is open to them. So you've got Donnie Schatz that's got over 30 wins this year. Shane Stewart, who's doing so well. The most recent winner, Brad Sweet. They've got to defend their turf and still run for their points against all these other sanctions. It is awesome.
It is, and I want to circle 2 names in 2 different divisions to keep an eye on. One is a hometown name, Lenny, that I'm sure you want to talk about. I'll get to that name in a minute. From the sprint car ranks, though, kid out of Washington State by the name of Trey Starks, who really shocked the world, really impressed me last weekend when I was down in Florida at Bubba Raceway Park with the USCS. Trey running a 360 down there, going to be running this weekend at Carolina Speedway and Cherokee Speedway in USCS competition in Jeff McCall's famous number 23 car. And then they're going to bolt a 410 motor into it. And Trey's coming to the World Finals. And this is a driver who, while he may not be well known on the East Coast, I think 19 years young, won the Western Sprint Tour Championship this year, basically the old ASCS Northwest Tour. You talk about no names not always having a great shot at the World Finals just because of how loaded this field is. This kid has the talent to get it done, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say he's got a shot to not only make both features but contend in both features. That's how highly I think of him. And then, oh, by the way, some kid that you and I are pretty familiar with out of the Mini Outlaw Karts is running a big block modified. Some McLaughlin kid. I mean, we've heard about him before just a little bit.
The Crazy 8, Max McLaughlin, Max picking up that, HDR ride to be able to come here.
Yeah, Hanky Baldwin Racing.
Yep. So that's going to be a good one because Max's dad, of course, the 97 NASCAR Busch Series most popular driver, to have him there, even Dad ran some dirt back in the day before he went to become a
that's
Busch
how he
Series
started,
driver.
yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So the kid's the fastest kart consistently up there at Millbridge. I mean, there's some others they're right there with him, but this is a wide-eyed, risk-taking 15-year-old that's going to throw caution to the wind. He's been raised by a champion. He's been around champions. He's not afraid to be there with the Billy Pounches and the rest of the group, the Stuart Friesens, all of them that'll be coming down. They're just other racers to him. and it's going to be a show to watch that young man try to make it. And the driver that you talked about from Washington State, you got a guy like Ryan, I believe it's Ryan Smith from Pennsylvania.
Yes, yeah.
Some of these drivers are looking at career-making opportunities at the World of Outlaws World Finals.
Well, and don't forget, we got Tyler Dipple, too. And, Tyler ran in the top 5 last year.
Almost won that Friday night feature.
Almost won Friday night, and was running in the top 5 when I think he got a piece of the wall toward the end. But, Tyler's another one. I mean, there is a great mix of youth and experience in that big block super dirt car division, not to mention, as we talked about, the sprint cars and the late models. I mean, that's just... It is an all-star weekend of racing, to be sure. I mean, it just doesn't get any better than that.
Well, and like you guys had said earlier, I celebrate the fans at this one. I love walking around, and you'll look over there, and there's a Sharon Speedway shirt. There's a Atomic Speedway shirt. There's T-shirts and sweatshirts and hoodies from all these different tracks, and it's so cool to just kind of say, hey, that's a cool track. I've watched it, on the internet or something, or just say, hey, I never heard of that track, and get to talk and commemorate, the good times with fans. That was part of what makes the World of Outlaws World Finals so special. Whether you're on the track or watching, it's still a neat event.
I know, Lenny, we haven't really talked about the late models. I want to throw one storyline out there real quick that I know I'm very intrigued to see how it shakes out. This is going to be Darrell Lanigan's last World Finals to be able to defend the turf as a World of Outlaws regular, because he's going to Clint Boyer Racing, replacing Steve Francis next year, and they're going to be running the Lucas Oil Tour full-time in 2016. So Lanigan, a 3-time champion with the Outlaws, making a change, but, he's always been good at Charlotte. I know he's got, he's going to have one more score to settle with this track as an Outlaws driver before he makes the leap.
Yeah, I think Darrell's coming down here. He wants to, reestablish his position as one of the top, 5 drivers in the business before he goes over there to Boyer Dirt fully and gets it going for next year. He doesn't want to come in here and just make this a glorified test. There's a point of pride for Darrell. He's a defending series champion. He didn't run all the races this year, so he doesn't have points that amount to anything. This is where he can put an end to any question about his heart and his passion for driving and go out there and put on a show against the Davenports of the world, the Shane Clantons, the Eckarts, and Josh Richards, and everybody else.
And before we cut you loose, Lenny, as always, I know we were talking about it a little bit, that there are still tickets available for any race fans who have not contacted Charlotte Motor Speedway and gotten their tickets to the World Finals yet. Let them know how they can do that.
CharlotteMotorspeedway.com. You can do it right now. Keep listening to the show. Just jump over to CharlotteMotorspeedway.com. Get your tickets now. While there's been a lull because of the weather, take advantage of it and get the last of the good tickets while you can. CharlotteMotorspeedway.com for next week's World of Outlaws World Finals.
And I know a lot of plans in place headed towards 2016 for the dirt track at Charlotte as well that I know you'll be excited to talk about when we get through next weekend, Lenny. As always, we love having you on, and we're looking forward to getting dirty here in a week's time.
Hey, in less than a week on Wednesday night, don't forget to come out to the Carolina Ale House just down from the racetrack and spend 2 hours, 3 hours with us from 6 to 10. We'll have a show there live for PRN at the track, so hopefully fans and you guys come out and get some cold ones and talk some racing with some of the drivers with us.
We're looking forward to it. Thanks, Lenny. That is Lenny Baticki, and when we come back, we will move from the dirt to the modifieds and go to the pavement, because Ryan Preece, former NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour champion, joining us not to talk modifieds in this case, but to talk NASCAR. He's going Sprint Cup racing this weekend at Martinsville, and hey, maybe just more than this weekend as well. Big opportunity. We'll let him tell you about it when we come back. You're listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show here on the Performance Motorsports Network, the voice of motorsports.
Parents, your son or daughter has had their license for a while now, but you want to make sure they're prepared for any situation they may face on the road. High school driver's ed doesn't teach them to drive defensively. They need to be prepared for any highway emergency. For less than a month's insurance, and a whole lot less, BSR instructors at Summit Point Motorsports Park in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, will teach your son or daughter how to respond instantly and positively to unexpected situations on the road. BSR's specialized accident avoidance training teaches swerve to avoid maneuvers at highway speed, ocular driving, which focuses driving attention on ways to avoid accidents, vehicle dynamics and feedback, skid control and skid recovery, threshold braking on straights and progressive braking on curves, and off-road recovery techniques. This is stuff driver's ed simply doesn't teach. So call BSR today, 304-725-8444. Give your kid the skill set needed to drive safely and responsibly on the highway. That's 304-725-8444.
You hear that? That's the sound of America's only sports car. That's right, it's a Corvette. But not just any Corvette. It's your Corvette. It's that who cares if there's traffic part of your day. And this can be you when you come to Cooper Corvettes. With 60 years of Corvettes to choose from, there's always a Corvette in your budget. And they'll service any Corvette you bring in. Cooper Corvettes on Route 1 just north of Quantico and Triangle. Call, click, or visit CooperCorvettes.com.
We're growing like crazy and need account reps who know their way around agencies, the internet, and social media. Got connections? Or do you know how to get to the decision makers? Are you fearless? We need you. Internet radio, or as we call it, wireless mobile radio, is rapidly becoming the place to be with almost limitless income potential. So contact us to get involved with the fastest growing professionally produced group of internet radio stations in the world. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444. That's 717-749-0444. Or you can email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. You want to ask for Sue.
Hi, this is John Ondrasik of Five for Fighting, here for RAD, the entertainment industry's voice for road safety. You know, style is a personal thing, and your lifestyle is your business. But if you take it on the road, it becomes everybody's business. So please, plan ahead, designate before you celebrate. Friends, don't let friends drive drunk.
A public service announcement brought to you by RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
Here we go with more of the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Welcome back to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show. Here on PMN, Tom Baker, Jacob Seelman, and Kyle Magda, all of us from RaceChaserOnline.com. We go right back to the Race Chaser Hotline and bring on our first driver guest of the evening. And we are really happy to have this young man back on the program. Ryan Preece, welcome back. And wow, have you had yourself a busy week?
Yeah, it's great to be back on, and it's definitely been pretty busy. I'm really fortunate for the opportunities that have come to me for these next 4 weeks, running these cup races with Premium Motorsports and Tommy Baldwin, really helping out, making this happen, and it's some exciting stuff. So I'm really excited to get to Martinsville this weekend.
I know you're excited about this, Ryan. For the fans that may not have followed the story real closely this week, going back to your first start at Loudon in September, I know how big Tommy Baldwin has been, not just to this part of your career, but really to your career in general because of the fact that, he's a modified guy like you. That's his history up in New England, and I know that's been a big part of how he's stayed involved with you. Talk a little bit about that association, because I know he's been such a big part of getting you this cup opportunity.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Basically, back in 2013, we had a phone call from Tommy to come meet him up in New Hampshire, and that's kind of how everything started getting kicking. And we raced that one Xfinity race then, and then we ended up running two more the next year, and we were supposed to run some more this year, and unfortunately, when some things fell through there earlier this season with Michael and Ed, and it kind of put him in a spot where it was hard to make those plans that we were hoping could happen. But really, I'm just really fortunate to have somebody like Tommy in my corner. Without him, I definitely probably wouldn't be getting these opportunities that I'm getting right now. and he's been a really good guy. He's fun to hang out with. He's great to talk to. He's just another racer. He wants to race. He wants to see somebody from Modified succeed. I was in his office the other day, and Steve Park walks in, and we just start talking about old. I was listening to old stories about those two guys back in the day, running around the Northeast, racing Modified. So it's really cool.
All right, so I know Martinsville going to be fun for you this weekend. It's got some good memories for you in the past. Picked up your first ever Wheel and Modified Tour victory there back in 2008 when we were really calling you a young gun then. Fast forward now, get to make your second Cup start at Martinsville. How important is that? Maybe not necessarily from a track time standpoint, but just from a confidence and a good vibes standpoint to be able to come to Martinsville and be in a Cup car.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to be going to Martinsville, obviously, because I've had some success there. We've always been pretty fast in a modified, but the only curveball is this is a Cup car. It's a little bit heavier and a little bit more horsepower and a little bit smaller tires. So there's a lot of other things we're going to have to work on, and I'm going to have to work on to be as ready as I can be. But I'm ready for that challenge. That's one thing I've learned in my racing career. There's always going to be a bunch of challenges, and you're only going to be able to succeed if you push through them.
You've pushed, you've kept going. It's been huge, the progression here over the past couple of months. And, it all comes off your third runner-up finish in the Wheel and Modified Tour in 4 years. And I know that's not necessarily the mark that you want to be remembered for. You'd have liked to have won all 4 of these championships in the past 4 years. But, 4 wins. You won at Bristol earlier this year. Can you at least somewhat hang your hat on the fact that even though you didn't get the big trophy again, you guys were still, this first year with you in the TS Haulers camp, it was a really good one.
Yeah, it was really good. It was a really good first year. We battled Doug for that championship, and it came down to us again at Thompson. Unfortunately, we were on the short end of it, but we did everything we could. We won races. We ran really well. We were on the pole, and we just came up short. So it's unfortunate because we all wanted it so bad, but at the same time, we're really proud of the season we had.
Yeah, I definitely know that. I can tell that it's been a lot of fun that you guys have had working together, you and the 6 team. Going forward here, obviously the 98 team going to be your home for the next 4 races. And, I know one of the really big hallmarks to this deal is the fact that you get to run some of the bigger tracks. You get Texas next weekend and then, of course, Homestead to finish the year out. For you coming from the short track ranks and doing as much of that as you've had growing up, it's got to feel good to finally be able to get on some of these bigger tracks and really show that you can, mix it up a little bit and at least show some speed on these bigger racetracks, because I know maybe not what you're used to, but definitely a big step.
Yeah, it's gonna be something different. Texas will definitely be different, just because I've never been to a mile and a half like that. So it's just gonna be a learning curve. Like I said, everything is a learning situation, and I feel like I'm gonna have the equipment that we're gonna need to get through and make laps and do everything we need to do.
And of course, we talked about the modified team. I know the Sprint Cup deal puts kind of a pleasant challenge for this year. You guys had a little bit more competition scheduled with the TS Haulers team this year. I know you had been really looking forward to running the North-South shootout at Concord here coming up in the next couple of days. And now, unless you tell us something different, we're assuming that those plans kind of got fudged when Texas and Phoenix got added here.
Yeah. No, I'm not planning on going to North-South now, obviously, because of Phoenix and Texas. But it's great to have partners like Exience with Red, this energy drink that's going to be supporting us for Phoenix and Texas. It's a great drink. I just tried it the other day. We're going to be doing some giveaways next week, and it's definitely a cool product. So I definitely advise people to check it out and try it.
All right, I know, we got a lot going on. You've got 4 starts to work with here. So what's the goal? Martinsville, obviously, it's a short track. I know a little bit more in your wheelhouse, but, you're still working with the team to kind of get things settled out. Do you have a specific goal in mind for these 4 races, or just kind of take them one at a time?
Just one at a time. Run laps, just pretty much don't wreck. That's the goal, is just learn. I mean, that's the only goal we can have. So we're gonna go to each race kind of with that mindset and just take it from there.
Ryan, I know you made your Cup debut back at Loudon a few weeks ago. I mean, how did that go for you? I know you ran. That was your first race. I mean, what were your thoughts of the Cup cars? Your first time out there.
It was different. The tire's different. The cars are a little bit heavier. The way they set up are different, but it's a race car. They all turn left and they all go forward. So, it was a learning curve, figuring it out, and hopefully we can get through that learning curve quick at Martinsville.
Is there anything specifically that you noticed, from the modified that maybe you could translate over to the Cup car, or is there so much different with it that really it's a whole new driving style that you're having to deal with?
It's a different driving style for sure to have to figure out, just because it's a Cup car and the radial tire is totally different. So it's, we're just gonna, like I said, go into this weekend and just try and learn as quick as we can.
I know it's been a big learning process and really a big opportunity for you, Ryan. I know you mentioned some of the people and sponsors already that are going into this deal with Premium. Any other shout-outs you need to give, sponsors, supporters? Who makes it happen for Ryan Preece?
I got to thank all Premium Motorsports supporters they have going on with their cars. And obviously I got to thank Tommy Baldwin. He's a big supporter of mine, and everybody up north that support me too. It's really great to be a part of this.
Well, we're excited for you, and we're glad you were able to stop back by the show. Definitely excited for you getting on track this weekend at Martinsville. Kicks off on Friday, so we'll wish you the best of luck and see what goes on this weekend.
All right, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Ryan. That is Ryan Preece, Tom. And real quickly before we go to break, he gets to close out the season. It's a little bit of continuity, and I know that's a big thing for a young driver trying to make his mark. Just, being able to have that consistency there. When we come back, we move forward and shift from the Cup Series and Modifieds to ARCA. Kyle Weatherman, the Scott Rookie Challenge points leader and soon to be crowned ARCA Rookie of the Year for 2015, going to join us right after this. You are listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show here on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Motorsports sales professionals. Performance Motorsports is looking to build a team of experienced media sales professionals to represent our programming to the industry's top companies, magazines, and racing series. If you have motorsports sales or marketing experience, know how to work with agencies, understand social media, and are incredibly creative when it comes to working with clients and promotions, then we want to hear from you. Top performers are richly rewarded. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444. That's 717-749-0444, or email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. You want to ask for Sue.
Every 30 minutes, another innocent person is killed due to a drunk driver.
My best friend. My brother. My poor grandchild.
My sister.
My father.
My husband.
My mom. My mommy.
Well, I've been afraid of changing, 'cause I've built my life around you.
Stop these tragedies before they happen. Don't drink and drive.
Do you love the sound of high revving motors and the smell of burning rubber? Do you want to get your car sideways right at the ragged edge of control? If you've always wanted to try drifting or learn to improve your drifting skills, Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier motorsports facility, has the expert instructors and the specialized track to teach you how to drift and the skills necessary to drift competitively. From skid pad to open sessions, Summit Point Motorsports Park has the safe and open environment that allows drifters of all skill levels, new to intermediate, to get sideways and smoking. With a focus on safety and the skill set necessary to drift competitively, Summit Point Motorsports Park's Drift Nirvana is just the thing for you. Call for your reservation today, 304-725-8444. Or for more information, go online, summitpoint-raceway.com, or you can email them at office@bsrinc.com. Drift Nirvana, getting you sideways the right way.
If you own a gun, you have a full-time responsibility. When you aren't using it, be sure it can't get into the hands of curious children, troubled teenagers, a thief, or anyone else who might misuse it. Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. Remember, always, lock it up. For more information on firearm storage safety, visit ncpc.org. This message brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and the Ad Council.
Let's go back to steel and aluminum stock cars and supplying the SRIs with Race Chaser Online senior editor Tom Baker and the Speed 77 radio cast.
Steele,
what?
That was just awful.
Well, that's close enough. I don't care.
Welcome back to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show here on the Performance Motorsports Network. We call it Thursday Night Thunder, talking racing for another hour here on PMN. Glad to have you with us. And we are going to go right back to the Race Chaser Hotline, Jacob, because we have another very special guest, and it's Kyle Weatherman. Going to welcome Kyle back to the program. Kyle, welcome back officially, and talk a little bit about what you got going on right now, because I know that you're still really enjoying the rookie ARCA honors and just having a great time letting that settle in.
Yeah, absolutely. We worked really hard last year, well, actually this year, to accomplish all the goals that we did. I'm really proud of Cunningham and the organization that I was a part of. That was a lot of fun. I hope they're proud of it too. So I know we had a lot going on. Actually we're getting ready for a truck race over at Litter Motorsports now. Getting ready for that. That's really exciting. Gonna make the debut over there at Homestead Miami Speedway. So hopefully it's a lot of fun. I know it will be. So we'll see.
All right, Kyle. So, we talk about Homestead being kind of a different mile-and-a-half track than any other mile-and-a-half track as far as NASCAR and ARCA competition is concerned because of how it's built. It's not one of the traditional tri-ovals. It's really more symmetrical than anything else. But you had really strong runs at Kentucky and Kansas to finish out the ARCA season. Got to give you some confidence going into Homestead. At least, you've started to nail down the strategy for these style of tracks and definitely have the speed. We know that.
For sure. Obviously, Lyra Motorsports ran really good at those tracks also. I know performance-wise, Lyra Motorsports can do it. I know I can do it also. So, if we just put everything together, we should have, just a solid top 10, top 5 maybe. But, that's, I like to set goals. Those are my goals. And we kind of talked about it at the shop too. So, we set goals for ourselves, and I think we can accomplish it if everything goes right.
I know, you accomplished a lot of goals this year, Kyle, and let's go all the way back to the beginning of the season and really just kind of go through the story a little bit here, because you started the year, you knew you could make 15 of the 20 starts in ARCA for Cunningham Motorsports, and they really have been a driving force behind the numbers and the success this year. But, going all the way back to the beginning when you couldn't even run Daytona, how tough was that, just having to start off the season in those first couple of months? And just only getting limited track time. Was it tough on you just having to be out, in, kind of out, then back in again, and just really having to wait till about New Jersey to get that full-time stint started?
It was unfortunate that my age was kind of holding me back, but it was still fun being a part of everything and helping out the drivers that were in the 22 car when I wasn't. So it was still fun, being a part of it, going to the racetrack, being with the team, still being there supporting. But like I said, it's kind of unfortunate. Obviously, I would have liked to run all the races this year, but obviously we had a few things holding us back. We're all good now, so hopefully we can put together something for next year and go for that ARCA championship. I've always wanted to do that. I'd love to try to put something together there and go for the championship next year.
All right. You had a shot at a couple of different championships, not the national points title, but, as far as the Calypso Lemonade Short Track Challenge, of course, Rookie of the Year honors, which we talked about a little bit a minute ago, and then the helping Cunningham get to that Bill France Four Crown Championship as well. I mean, accomplishing everything that you guys set out to do except take that car owner's title for the 22 team, and came so close to that, just missed it by a few positions. So, I know it's been a year of many different facets, but especially the short track challenge. You told me at the start of the year, that was basically your championship because it was all the races you could run, give or take a couple. And, you go out and not only did you win it, you actually locked it up before the final race at Salem. How sweet was that, knowing that Grant Enfinger for so much of the season was breathing down your neck?
Yeah, Grant Enfinger and I, really had a good year together. It was a lot of good racing, clean racing too. So, I have a lot of respect for him. It was a lot of fun racing against him and really everybody else that I raced against, this year. A lot of fun for sure. It was unfortunate that I couldn't get Kerry Shearer that owner's championship. Like you said, we were really close. Just made a few mistakes there at the end of the season that kind of hurt us. But it was unfortunate, but. Kerry Shearer and myself, set a lot of goals, once we kind of figured out what we were doing. And like you said, we accomplished all of them, but one of them. So, it was still a really good year. Proud of everybody over there. It just, like you said, it kind of unfortunate we couldn't get that for Kerry, but, still had a lot of fun and, enjoyed working with him too. It was a lot of fun, for sure.
I mean, you talk so highly of Kerry and Briggs and even Paul Andrews, your crew chief, for that you got to work with this year. I mean, those three really have done so much for you, for so many of these other young drivers that have come through the Cunningham doors over the past couple of years. I mean, talk a little bit about how much the three of them have helped you grow as a driver, as a person in your time at Cunningham this year, because, it would seem that you're just the next one in that long line of talents that they've been able to bring in, kind of help nurture and, slowly start to see great things blossom out of, as we can see now with obviously getting a truck opportunity, winning Rookie of the Year, and finishing top 10 in points despite not being able to run all the races.
Yeah, I mean, it's unreal. Like you said, there's a number of drivers that Cunningham has kind of brought through the ranks and moved up. And it was a lot of fun being a part of what they have. Kerry Shearer, Bruce Cunningham, Paul Andrews. Just those group of guys and everybody else over there. Honestly, it's just so fun to be around, fun to work with. Paul Andrews has so much knowledge, and it's just it's unreal. He's been through it all, so it's just it makes the learning curve, the learning process a lot easier. And on top of that, they're fun to be around too. So it's just I had a really fun year, and hopefully we can put together something for next year and have another good year. So we'll see what comes of it though.
All right, so I want to talk about you for a minute now. Obviously, we've been doing that, but talk about Kyle Weatherman from your eyes, from the start of this year, that first start at Mobile, to now, where you are at the end of the season. How much of you do you feel like you've grown as a driver and been able to learn over the course of this year, going through some of the experiences you've had, all the high points, a few struggles along the way, and just, really growing into a driver that I know even when we had Grant Enfinger on here a week ago, he said, he knew every week in and week out, he was going to have to contend with the 22 car. And, it's one of those things that when you start getting the rest of the field talking about you, you've done something right.
For sure. I learned a lot this year. I really did. Obviously it wouldn't have been possible with any of those guys over there. So, I got to thank the guys over at Cuttingham. Without those guys, it wouldn't have been possible. But, Tom Hesser helped me an tremendous amount this year. Like you guys know, he's been to all these racetracks multiple times, and to have him as a teammate was awesome. Just little tips here and there. What to expect just at some of these tracks that I haven't been to, which was just a lot of help. So I feel like I learned a lot, and that's why I really want to run a full year next year just to show them what we're really made of. We kind of got I guess you can say the learning curve out of the way. Obviously, there's still a lot to learn. I'm not saying I learned it all in 1 year, but definitely would like to do it again and show everybody what we're really made of, and contend for the championship next year.
I know you're not ready for this year to get over with yet. And it's not done because of the truck start at Homestead. How big a moment is this going to be when you strap in at Homestead here in a couple of weeks? The first time I got to talk to you, you were about a 13 or 14-year-old kid running Legends cars on the front stretch at Charlotte and, trying to figure out where you wanted to go. And now you're about to hit your stride at the national level. Can you sit down, look at that and go, we made it? Or are you still trying to kind of let everything sink in and, really take in exactly how far you've come in so short a time?
Yeah, it definitely isn't really sunk in yet. It's still got me at maze. But it's definitely awesome to be a part of. My goal is to be in the Cup Series one day. So we still haven't accomplished that yet. But we're my dad, myself, and everybody that's been behind me is definitely on our way. I think we're capable of it. We just got to be at the right place at the right time. And do everything we need to do. So I think we're definitely on our way, and I'm definitely proud of myself and everybody else that's been a part of it. So hopefully we can keep on doing what we've been doing.
Well, we want to keep on doing what we're doing right now because we've still got more to come, Kyle. If you'll hang on with us for just a minute, when we come back from this quick break, I want to talk a little bit more about the ARCA season, about your brother Clayton, because I know you've had fun working with him and racing against him a couple of times this year, and just getting you set up to conclude 2015 and look ahead. So we'll talk with you a little bit more after this break. Right now, for all you race fans, you're listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show here on the Performance Motorsports Network.
In 50 feet, turn left. Why are you driving so slowly?
After a few drinks, I'm taking it slow.
Well, you're not fooling the cop behind you.
What?
Get ready to pay in 0.1 miles.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Do you love the sound of high-revving motors and the smell of burning rubber? Do you want to get your car sideways right at the ragged edge of control? If you've always wanted to try drifting or learn to improve your drifting skills, Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier motorsports facility, has the expert instructors and the specialized track to teach you how to drift and the skills necessary to drift competitively. From skid pad to open sessions, Summit Point Motorsports Park has the safe and open environment that allows drifters of all skill levels, new to intermediate, to get sideways and smoking. With a focus on safety and the skill set necessary to drift competitively, Summit Point Motorsports Park's Drift Nirvana is just the thing for you. Call for your reservation today, 304-725-8444. Or for more information, go online, summitpoint-raceway.com. or you can email them at office@bsrinc.com. Drift Nirvana, getting you sideways the right way.
This is Paul Stanley from KISS for RAD, recording artists, actors, and athletes against drunk driving. Some of us work months producing a CD, but in less time than it takes to play it, someone will be killed in an alcohol-related crash. So please don't drive when you've been drinking. Plan ahead. Arrange a designated driver. Remember, friends don't let friends drive drunk.
A public service message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation, RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Performance Motorsports Network, your authority on motorsports of all types. Be listening for the most accurate and up-to-the-minute coverage of every motorsports activity that you enjoy on a daily basis. Be it NASCAR, be it IRL, be it Formula One, be it drag racing, be it dirt track, off-road, props, hulls, whatever. We are your source for motorsports. Performance Motorsports Network.
This is Joey Logano, driver of NASCAR number 22 Discount Tire Car. You know something? You and I aren't all that different. I drive a car, you drive a car. My car has tires, your car has tires. I may be going just a little faster than you each weekend, but we both need to keep those tires properly inflated to stay safe. So be tire smart and do your part. Check your tire pressures once a month and before every long journey.
Visit BeTiresmart.org. A message from the Rubber Manufacturers Association.
Now, back to more with Tom and the Speed 77 radio crew. It's the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network.
Welcome back.
We both had the same idea at the same time, so we both welcomed you back to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show here on.
Aren't you like one person in like two bodies or something like that? Or
well,
a
lot of people think that. Yeah, it kind of works that way sometimes, it seems, around the office. But anyways, welcome back to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show here on PMN. Tom Baker, Jacob Seelman, and Kyle Magna with you. All of us from RaceChaserOnline.com having some fun talking motorsports for about another 45 minutes, and still got Kyle Weatherman with us. And Kyle, always fun to talk to. Kyle, I got a quick question for you. A lot of fans, when we have drivers on these shows, a lot of people always say, you should ask the drivers more personal questions about, things like favorite song, favorite whatever. Well, I got a question for you. Do you have a favorite NASCAR driver? Do you have a driver that you grew up kind of idolizing and, looking at as maybe one of your heroes?
Yeah, I actually have. I've always... obviously, knowing Chris Buescher and all that, obviously him now. But, I whenever I was growing up, David Reagan, being really close with Ken Reagan and all that, obviously I looked up to David a lot. David was my idol and still is, honestly. But, obviously growing up, it was definitely David. I like Carl Edwards, obviously Chris Buescher now, my roommate and all that. So, those are the three guys that I really look up to and, obviously pay a lot of attention to them guys for sure.
Is it still a little difficult for you to imagine that you're really kind of in the same league with some of these guys now? I mean, you're one step away from, either truck or, Xfinity. I mean, within the next year or so, you're kind of right there on the cusp of actually racing with some of these guys you've watched for all these years.
Kind of scary thinking about it, honestly. It's that's awesome. That's awesome for you to say and to think about, honestly. It's really cool thinking about that. Like you said, I mean, these are the people that I idolized when I was growing up, and to be that one step away to be racing against them is unreal. Hopefully we can put together a deal that maybe would happen next year that we were able to race against them guys. But, obviously we don't know anything really what's going on next year, but obviously, anything's possible, and we're open to any opportunity. So, that'd be really cool.
All right, Kyle. I know you talk about you getting the opportunity in a Lyra truck. Your brother Clayton not only had a couple of ARCA starts this year and really impressed me at Salem in the spring, but now he gets an opportunity to test in a Lyra ARCA car coming up at Motor Mile Speedway here in about 4 or 5, just coming up. And, I know he's excited about that. When we had him on the show about a week ago, he's all pumped up to be able to make the step up. And you got to race with him a couple of times this year. I mean, talk about that dynamic for a second, because I know the family dynamic, you want to beat him, he wants to beat you, but at the same time, I know you've done a lot to help kind of guide him as he's made the step up into these ARCA cars now too.
Oh yeah, I mean there's always that wanting to beat each other kind of mentality, but when it really comes down to it, I want to have the best opportunity that he can have, and same for myself. I think with the Lyra ARCA program and the truck that I'm about to be doing is a very very high team. I look really highly of Lyra Motorsports and what they're doing and how they're growing and at a rapid speed. I think it's really cool to be part of their organization, and hopefully my brother and I can keep on going on this path.
I know it's a path that's happened really quickly. The final thing I've got for you, and then I know you've got sponsors to thank too, Kyle, for the year that you've had. Looking ahead, obviously we know the growth is going to continue. You've built so much this year. Is there anything that you look back on this year and go, besides the car owners championship, but is there anything you look back on this year and go, man, if I could only have that back for a second or two, take one more shot at it. There were so many high points. I would have to imagine it's hard to be able to dig out a low point and really circle it after the year you've had.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few, and obviously there's a few races that I finished second on that I kind of messed up on a restart or something like that. That I would love to take back and have that opportunity again. But to be saying that, to kind of put that as my low point is really impressive. I'm proud of, and I said this before. I'm really proud of everybody over at Cunningham for that opportunity. It was a lot of fun, and hopefully. I think we're really possible to be doing it again next year. So hopefully we can run the full season next year and figure out what we got going.
Well, I know you're excited to look forward towards next year, but before we're completely done with this year, I know you've got a lot of people to thank, Kyle. Sponsors, shout-outs, supporters. Who makes it happen for you and this whole group that you've got behind you?
Obviously my family. Without them being behind me, and my brother, sister, mom, dad. Without them being behind me, it wouldn't be possible. So, obviously family's first, but Crosby Brands has helped out a lot. Roush Trainer Racing, all these guys have helped this year, and obviously Brace Cunningham carries here. Without those guys, it wouldn't be possible. So I got to thank them for sure.
Well, Kyle, we always appreciate you having on the program and, stopping by, talking racing with us. And we definitely look forward to having you back on as we get closer to the beginning of next year. And I know you're fired up to get to Homestead. You're fired up to get through the off season so you can get back in a car again. So there's going to be a lot more to talk about. We just wish you the best of luck coming up here in a couple of weeks. And, looking forward to hearing you talk about it after it's all over.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on.
That's Kyle Weatherman, and Tom, definitely a lot to the story behind the job that this young man did this year behind Cunningham Motorsports. They came within a handful of positions of an owner's championship. He beats Grant Enfinger for the short track title and the truck start at Homestead to really make that first stamp on the national level. We talked about young guns like Chris Bell and William Byron earlier on in this show. Kyle Weatherman, another one of those that really is, we talk about the next gen all the time on this show. He's another one that falls perfectly into that category, and I think you will see figure in prominently more into the national scene come 2016.
Oh, I don't have any doubt about it. And, he and Clayton are both really, really good racers, and they're great kids too. Again, very humble family. It's really a pleasure to talk with some of these young kids that are getting these opportunities, and you see so many young people, that are thrust into the national spotlight, whether it's in a sport or, in music or wherever it might be. And, it really is a difficult situation for them to sort of stay grounded sometimes. So much is expected and so much is foisted on them all at once. But, Kyle and Clayton are both outstanding young men and just really, really good racers. So, certainly it looks like both of them are going to have some big opportunities coming up in 2016. It'll be fun to follow them and continue to bring them to our audience.
Yeah, I mean, Tom, there's just so many things going on. William Byron getting announced for next year, and he's going to be running the truck race here in a few weeks for Kyle Busch Motorsports, and I know he's looking forward to that. Big deal with that, and Christopher Bell, like I was mentioning earlier. So there's a lot going on.
Yeah, well, the Truck Series. We've spent a good portion of this show talking about 3 or 4 young drivers that are coming to the Truck Series for next year, and just the changeover and the new blood and the new truck team. I mean, you're going to have we don't know that Austin Self is going to be driving for his dad's team next year, but we would think it would be a safe bet. We know that Kyle Busch Motorsports is picking up William Byron. We know that Kyle Busch Motorsports is picking up Cody Coughlin. We know that Kyle Busch Motorsports is, also picking up Chris Bell. And now it would appear as though there's at least a possibility that Kyle Weatherman going to be doing, some things. It's just really going to be an interesting season for the trucks, and I'm glad to see the series taking, a form of a development series as it is, Kyle, because I've actually thought that as long as NASCAR is committed to the idea of just making this at least partially a big track series instead of putting it back to the short tracks where it started, this is the logical thing that happens. You develop yourself in the trucks and you go to Xfinity and you go to Cup. So we're really starting to see that take hold in a big way the last couple of seasons, and next year looks like it's going to be no different.
Tom, I just want to add one thing quick here with what I wanted to say about Cody Coughlin. I was really kind of, I guess, puzzled with what's going on there because, he had that, he ran with Veteran Motorsports, and then he ran the truck race at Michigan with Kyle Busch Motorsports, and then Kyle Busch wound up running the truck at Bristol. Excuse me. A little confused on that. I mean, maybe they worked it out for him to get back in there. I know he's running some ARCA CRA stuff, but you're right, Tom. With the ARCA, same thing. They're a lot like the Truck Series. They run those short tracks, dirt tracks, road courses. They do everything, Tom. I mean, that's why I like to see how the Truck Series. I would love to see another road course race at it. So,
yeah, it certainly should be. I would agree with that. It would be fun to see, and it's going to be an interesting, like I said, interesting 2016 season with the Truck Series. Certainly, the trend is that obviously more of these younger drivers are having the opportunity to come in and run and mix it up with some of the veterans like Matt Crafton, and it'll be strange to think of somebody like an Eric Jones coming back to the series for an occasional race or two if he gets that opportunity. Would actually now be a veteran and he's not even 20 yet. So we'll talk more about the Truck Series as we go forward. Next, we are going to dip down to the short track level and talk with a young 14-year-old who's originally from California, recently relocated here to North Carolina, and just went out and won a huge late model stock car race at Hickory Motor Speedway. Tyler Ankrum going to be joining us just around the turn. You're listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the voice of motorsports, the Performance Motorsports Network.
Here's an important message from RAD and this station.
Hi, this is Bob Sheehan from Blues Traveler for RAD, Recording Artists Against Drunk Driving. I like to party just as much as the next guy, maybe even more. But the one thing I won't do after I've had a few is get in the car and drive. Don't blow it. Always choose a designated driver. Remember, music lives, and so should you.
Motorsports sales professionals. Performance Motorsports is looking to build a team of experienced media sales professionals to represent our programming to the industry's top companies, magazines, and racing series. If you have motorsports sales or marketing experience, know how to work with agencies, understand social media, and are incredibly creative when it comes to working with clients and promotions, then we want to hear from you. Top performers are richly rewarded. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444. That's 717-749-0444. Or email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. You want to ask for Sue.
You are a waste. A loser. Everyone hates you. Why don't you just stay in your car and keep driving? I'm serious. Drive until you run out of gas, then get out of your car and walk until you find someone who doesn't think you're dumber than bricks. Could take a while, but at least all that walking might burn a couple of calories.
You may not witness bullying like this every day. Your kids do. They want to help, but they don't know how. Visit stopbullying.gov to learn safe, simple ways your child can help stop bullying. Be more than a bystander at stopbullying.gov. A message from the Ad Council.
You own a performance car and you know how to drive, but you want to learn real performance driving. Well, Bunky, get that car off the street and onto the track. Summit Point Motorsports Park, the Mid-Atlantic's premier road racing facility, located just over an hour from D.C. in nearby Summit Point, West Virginia, is the place to go. And you'll find that Friday at the track is going to give you what you need. For less than a monthly car payment, you can attend this regularly scheduled one-day instructional event in your street car on one of Summit Point's 3 world-class road racing circuits. You'll receive classroom instruction, skid pad instruction in their cars, including front and rear skid control, and 4 20-minute in-your-car instructional sessions from a professional instructor. Have fun, go fast, and really learn how to drive. Call 304-725-8444 for class schedules and details. That's 304-725-8444. Friday at the track at Summit Point Motorsports Park. Time for more of the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on PMN. Here's a man who's in great shape. Well, round is his shape. Give it up for Tom Baker.
Well, that is true, but it's also the shape of a steering wheel and a racing tire, so not such bad company to be in. Welcome back to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show here on the Performance Motorsports Network. Tom Baker, Jacob Seelman, Kyle Magda with you on a Thursday night talking motorsports for about another 30 minutes or so. And we go right back to the Race Chaser Hotline once again as we bring in our final driver guest of the evening and a young man who is making his first ever radio appearance. And we always enjoy it when that happens. It's fun to break in a rookie. We slap the yellow stripe on his back and he's all set to go here. Welcome to the program, Tyler Ankrum. We are happy to have you.
I'm happy to be here too, guys. How's it going?
It's going really well, and it's certainly going well for you, I know, because you let's set the table here. As I mentioned before our last break, you are originally from California. You moved here to North Carolina to be close to the racing scene and try to develop your career a little bit, and then you promptly go out in one of your late model stock cars, go to Hickory Motor Speedway last week and pull off a win in one of the biggest races of the year here for the late model stock cars. The Fall Brawl is one of those prize trophies that everybody wants to have, prize victories. It's a big race in Hickory, and you pulled it off in fine style. Congratulations. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, thank you. That was a very fun race, especially being able to race against a guy like Jake Crum or Josh Berry or Myatt Snyder as well. Even though Myatt Snyder went out early due to motor failure and Josh Berry wrecked out, I still had Jake Crum to worry about, and that was super intimidating, especially come to the closing laps, him trailing closely behind.
That was, for you to be able to go into the halfway point really, looking good, running in second. I know, Shane Lee leading a lot of that. And then you go into the halfway break, and you told me that you made very few changes to the car itself. It seems like you guys were dialed in for the feature basically going into the race and really didn't have a whole lot to do.
Yes, going into the race, we were very confident with the changes they made, especially at the end of practice and little tweak session at the end of qualifying. But at the halfway break, the guys, Kenyon Davidson and Ethan Stoltz, my crew chief and car chief, they just told me they weren't going to touch it. They're just going to put 2 tires and a full tank of fuel in the car. And I was totally happy with it. The car was amazing that night. And I couldn't have been more on board with that decision. And it was a good choice. And we ended up getting lead at right after halfway. And we led the race from there on.
Having to defend that lead, Tyler, from Jake, who really was giving you about all you could handle there during that second half of the race. I mean, when you were fighting and, trying to hold him off for the win there in that second half, was there anything that he was maybe doing that you were able to learn from to help make yourself a little bit better in the second half of the race, or was it all about focusing on your line and just getting into that rhythm?
One thing I did really notice is on the restarts, he would run very hard no matter which line he was in. He would try to get somewhere and get ahead of you and just automatically start saving tires. Somewhere about 20 laps before the halfway break, he got around me on the outside. I was running really hard, and I was on his back bumper, and I went with him. And all of a sudden, I'm climbing on his back bumper. I was like, "Whoa, man, what happened? We're going really slow again." And then I noticed, well, that's what he's doing. He's going to gain positions, and he's going to go right back to conserving, and that's what it takes, especially at a track like Hickory.
You talk about this being a longer race, Tyler, 200 laps. I mean, I know, you're maybe not quite as used to running these really long distance races. I mean, how different for you was having to conserve like that, and having to learn that kind of on the fly, as opposed to somebody like Jake, who, like you said, was really kind of, as you put it, going really slow during that second half.
Yeah, I struggle a little bit with the concept, especially being a young driver. I just want to put the pedal to the wood and just go all out. But you can't do that at tracks like Hickory or Myrtle Beach. It really takes you to be patient. If you want to go out there and buzz the tires off, you're not going to be there in the end. You really have to conserve your stuff and be smart and be patient, and you might have a chance at the end if you have a really good car.
Well, let's back up for a little bit with you, Tyler, and talk about kind of where you came from and how you got here to North Carolina. You're originally from California, and I guess you started out in quarter midget racing. Talk a little bit about your career up to now, and just briefly hit the steps that you've taken to get to where you are over here.
Yeah. When I was 9 years old, on my 9th birthday, I started racing quarter midgets. That's when I started my racing career. And really, that's when me and my dad, that's how we started, really got deep down into it. And even after my first year at quarter midgets, we had already 3 cars, and we wanted to do more and more. And getting my third year quarter midgets, I started racing national races with kids like Harrison Burt and Todd Gill, and that's when we knew we were starting to get competitive. But we won big races for quarter midgets, like the Grands, the Eastern Grands, the Western Grands, and 5 races in the Eastern Grands, and then a big parking lot race at Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Wow.
In USAC quarter midgets, and I'm a 5-time national champion in a quarter midget and in the USAC series.
That's awesome. And then where did you go straight to the late models out of the quarter midgets, or where did you go next?
Actually, I spent a short time in a HPD Honda midget.
Okay.
And did a few races, especially down, and I finished all top 5 but I primarily raced at the Las Vegas Bullring and a few other places down in Arizona. And then right after that, I was good friends with Todd Gillen, and David Gillen asked me what my true interests were. And I said, I want to do what you're doing. I want to make it to Cup. And he goes, well, why don't you come down and race late model stock car on my race shop? And stars sparkled in my eyes, and I was like, Dad, all right. We're going to have to get crew chief because I know nothing about late models. I said, come on, Dad, let's do it.
Sure, why not?
Eventually gave in and started going to school out here. And I was racing out of Dave Gillen's race shop, and for a while there, a rookie and running late models. We wanted to look for a crew chief, and after a while, we found Kenny Davidson, and I'm honestly blessed to have that guy because he's one of the best out there, and he's very smart at what he does. I'm just very lucky.
Well, that's I'm sure that's the case. I know he's done really well with you. For where you've gotten to at this point, you decided, I know your dad decided ultimately to start your own operation, and now Tyler Ankrum Racing has cars, both late model stocks and super late models, and in addition to the fact that you're racing those cars, I know the plan down the road here in the 2016 is actually to possibly make room for a teammate or two for some races as well.
Yes, I'm very excited about that. Me and my dad, we've talked about it a lot. We really want to do it and find a teammate to learn from or that has experience as a veteran. That would be awesome. Great.
Well, definitely excited about what you're doing. I know you've got a cars race coming up on Saturday night, Cars Tour race back at Hickory again. And you got to be pretty excited about that, given the fact you just won a race there.
Yes, my mom's been joking about it. And she's like, Tyler, we're going to pull off a Joey Logano this weekend because we just got confirmation that I'm running both late model and super late model here at Hickory.
Well, that'll be fun to see in both classes, and looking forward to coming up and talking with you during the practice day tomorrow just a bit. So definitely excited about that, and wish you luck for sure. That's a tough field, and I know you're ready for it, and I know you also don't do any of this by yourself, so we always want to give you an opportunity to talk about sponsors or anybody that you'd like to thank before we let you go.
Well, first off, I'd like to thank my family. I wouldn't be able to do anything without my dad, mom, and my sister and other relatives. But I'd also like to thank Eye on Camera Shoot Share. They came on board at the beginning of the year, and they were very influential in getting this program down and running. And K&N, Air Filters and Products, and Lucas Oil Product, and also ACI Construction. Those are the companies I'd like to thank, and Autocraft Technologies. And they're very happy to be on our car, and we're happy to have them on board too.
Well, we're excited for you, and of course a big $10,000 bonus if you can win them both on Saturday night. So no pressure there, Tyler.
Yeah, no pressure at all.
We wish you the best here this weekend and for the balance of the season, Tyler Ankrum, and did very well in your first radio appearance. Thanks for coming on and talking with us, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
That's Tyler Ankrum, and we're going to step aside. When we come back, we will have our White Flag segment here. Final segment on Thursday Night Thunder. You're listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show here on the Performance Motorsports Network.
We're growing like crazy and need account reps who know their way around agencies, the internet, and social media. Got connections? Or do you know how to get to the decision makers? Are you fearless? We need you. Internet radio, or as we call it, wireless mobile radio, is rapidly becoming the place to be with almost limitless income potential. So contact us to get involved with the fastest growing professionally produced group of internet radio stations in the world. Your imagination is the only limit here. Call 717-749-0444. That's 717-749-0444. Or you can email us at scorpionradiogroup@gmail.com. You want to ask for Sue.
Okay, so Sarah, I'm dropping you off at Emily's?
Yep.
And Josh, you're going to?
Soccer, Dad.
Soccer practice.
Right. Oh, by the way, I just wanted to let you know when I pick you both up, I'll be wearing my short shorts.
What?
No!
Yep, and my dorky dad hat, and I'm going to do my dad dance for all your friends. They'll love it!
Seriously? Why?
Because I like my short shorts. Of course, I could be talked out of it if you guys would just buckle up your seatbelts without giving me a hard time.
It's important to get your kids to buckle up for safety, no matter what it takes. And sometimes, all it takes is your parental powers of persuasion.
Okay, we're buckling up.
See, all buckled.
Good choice. I'll just have to do my dad dance at dinner time.
What?
No!
Do what you have to make sure your kids are wearing their seatbelts, even on short drives. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information.
If you're a gearhead and you just can't get enough of your favorite motorsports on that channel on the cable, or you look at that Guy network and you just go, what does that have to do with me? We have the answer. Performance Motorsports Network. Right here on the internet. The best cruising tunes, the best in motorsports programming, and the best shows. We have opinionated hosts, and we like it that way. If you want to get involved, if you want to bench race, be listening for information coming up soon right here on this channel, the Performance Motorsports Network, your source for motorsports. We now return you to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network. And here's the guy who lost the hula hoop contest at the last PMN Summer Picnic because he just can't hula hoop. It's Tom Baker.
We've established this, Tom. Round and hula hoop do not go together.
Well,
I can't even hula hoop, so.
Well, yeah, that makes two of you. I'm the only one of the three of us that knows how one of those things work.
Oh, I would love to see that sometime, Jake. We need to get video of that one.
I will gladly demonstrate, and I'll put it on PMN's Facebook page, too. On that note, welcome back to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show here on PMN. I'm not sure what I just got myself into, but we'll see. I'm Jacob Seelman from Race Chaser Online, Senior Editor Tom Baker, Associate Editor Kyle Magda here as we take the white flag on tonight's 2-hour program. We've talked to a lot of varying young talent. That's been the theme of this entire show, Tom. Young talent. I think we're calling Ryan Preece the oldest guy we've really talked about all show long, and he's only 25. So, there's something to be said about this learning curve it's not that the drivers are getting shorter as they're moving higher through the ranks. It's just that they're getting younger because, you and I are vertically challenged.
Well, that's true, but we do handle the media stuff fairly well, or we try to anyway, and we hope that everybody will, all of our audience will take some time each day to check out racechaseronline.com, where you will always find unique audio, video, and written content, and we try to cover all kinds of racing. Of course, on this show, we focus on the stuff with a roof, if you want to put it like that.
Well, the modifieds don't have a roof. Ryan Preece would look at you like you had a third head just then.
Modifieds have a roof. Where have you been? They don't have fenders, but they have a roof. It's definitely an interesting show tonight. And, one of the things, Kyle Magda, I'm going to turn to you on this. One of the things that I think we've noticed over the course of the evening is all of the drivers that we've talked with tonight are very, very accomplished in what they've already done. And I think, Jacob talks about how, the learning curve seems so much faster these days. But really, it's just a matter of opportunity. And even, Tyler Ankrum, we just heard from. I mean, he, dominating the quarter midgets for a number of years and then moving up into the late models, and already in his first full season in the late model here in North Carolina against Jake Crum and Shane Lee in some of the best that late model stock racing has to offer, Kyle. He has already got himself a career victory. And
he does, Tom, and that's one of those things that I sit back and look at it and go, all right, these guys that 14, 15 years old, and we're talking about career hallmarks. These are guys that, like you said, Tom, are not just accomplished at what they do, but golly, they're quickly making their mark on the places they're going too. And I think that's a big thing here. I was talking to you about it during one of the breaks here. I think that the curve as far as the transition between the levels has been really expedited, I think, over the last couple of years. You start seeing these guys get to the higher levels at a younger and younger age, and I think that really speaks volumes about where the sport is headed, because of course you've got to have that pipeline, because as we're seeing Jeff Gordon this year, Tony Stewart next year, Dale Jr. saying that he's not too far off. Matt Kenseth and Greg Biffle are slowly getting to the point where, they're going to start thinking about retirement. You got to have the pipeline for these younger stars to come up and fill the shoes of their heroes.
Well, that's right. And one of when I talk about opportunity, there's a lot more series, like for example, the Cars Tour. There are a lot more of those types of series now that are allowing drivers to start coming into them younger and younger. So somebody like a Tyler Ankrum comes over from California and at 14 years old is already running, with a series that features both late model stock and super late model competition and has a stacked field in both of them. So Kyle Magda, I'll come back to you. A driver like Tyler Ankrum comes in and starts running with the Cars Tour. He's already got a pole. Now he's starting to run in the super late model portion in anticipation of probably a full-time effort in that next year. And, just amazing. Not only does he have an opportunity to race in a big series that pays well and lets him run two cars in one night, but he also has the opportunity to run with some of the best in both series. So the level of competition is strong, which makes him step up and advance and progress faster.
I know it's going to be a big weekend, Tom, with that. And I know that, Hickory got moved to Saturday night, I think because of the rain forecasted for Sunday. So I never been there. Did not make it there during my time in North Carolina back in May, but there's still a lot going on there. I mean, with the two Cars Tour races this weekend, it's going to be crazy because there's just so much going on, and there's just. I mean, I'm not going to be down there, unfortunately, on Halloween weekend. But Jacob, we're coming to an end here, in North Carolina with racing on the season. I mean, we have the North-South Shootout next weekend, the World Finals as well, and also we have the Cars Tour race. And there's a lot going on right now. A very busy time. Before pretty much till we hit Thanksgiving, and then we go to the Snowball Derby down in Pensacola.
And then we're done for the year, basically. I mean, the Snowball Derby really is the last call for motorsports across the country. And, we're in the weeks... okay.
You've got the Indy Invitational now.
True, you do. The Indy Invitational and the Rumble. Hey, we just fixed the calendar to where there's racing every month of the year, because no more you get done with the Rumble after Christmas. We go to the Chili Bowl the second week of January and the Tulsa Shootout before that. I just realized that smarter people than I, Tom, have accomplished what I've been saying people need to do for years. There doesn't need to be a break. We need to have racing 365 days a year. We don't quite get that, but at least we've pretty much filled in that 2-month wait period.
Well, and that Indy Invitational that I mentioned is, for those in our audience who are unaware, it's an indoor dirt race that's starting this year in Indy. It's the Bad Boy Buggies Indy Invitational. They've invited 40 of the top midget drivers and 42 of the top...
42 now because they added the fan votes.
Yes, but originally it was 40. Now it's going to be 42 in each division for the midgets and the mini outlaw cars. And, that's going to be a phenomenal race at the Bankers Life Fieldhouse, I think is what it is.
Yes.
In Indianapolis. They're going to play an Indiana Pacers game on Tuesday night, a home game. Then as soon as that game's over, they're going to take up the court and they're going to bring in the dirt. And overnight, they are going to build an indoor dirt oval to run this show on Wednesday of PRI week there. So that's going to be a whole bunch of fun. And then, of course, as you mentioned, the Rumble at Fort Wayne ends the year. And then as soon as you get to January, you got TQ Midgets in Allentown, Pennsylvania on the 2nd. And here we go again.
And then the Chili Bowl.
Shootout. Yeah, so there's just it really doesn't end. And, it just all comes back to what we were talking about, these drivers like a Tyler Ankrum. There's so many more opportunities to get seat time. And, of course, on a lower scale, there's still the Winter Heat Series here at Charlotte for the Legends cars. So a lot of things going on over the next couple months. It's a great time to be a race fan. And as we go into the holiday season, there's still going to be some racing to talk about along with the turkey.
Yeah, and that's what makes us in the media very, very excited, Tom, because we don't have to quit. And, other than the time that we get to spend over the holidays with our families, we get to keep thinking about racing through the quote-unquote off season, which is what always makes it fun. But I want to circle all the way back around to what's happening this week for a minute and close on the fact that we race at Martinsville on Sunday. There's 8 drivers eligible for a championship and the potential that one of those drivers wins and advances to the next round. So let's start our lightning round here. Tom Baker, I'll start with you. Who is a stud and who is a dud in Martinsville on Sunday for the Chasers?
Oh, out of the Chasers.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm keeping an eye on Kyle Busch. I'm sorry, on Kurt Busch. Well, Kyle as well. But keeping an eye on Kurt Busch, that's who I picked Monday night. He runs so well in Martinsville, and, he's kind of been sneaky good with the 41 team, and having just signed the deal with Monster for next year, and actually they're making their debut on the car this
weekend
Sunday
at Martinsville.
What better a way to welcome them to Stewart Haas Racing than to deposit them in victory lane with a win? So there's my stud for the weekend, with a hopeful eye toward Jeff Gordon to finally get off the schneid and get a win as well. My dud for the weekend among the Chasers, wow, I'm going to be hard pressed, but I've got to tell you, I'm looking at the 4-car and going, I don't know about this one, but he is going to be probably a little bit frustrated after last weekend. So who knows? I'm not holding my hopes high for Kevin Harvick at Martinsville this Sunday, though.
Yeah, Tom, I do agree with you about with Jeff Gordon being one of the studs this weekend. But I think a dud that I've been looking at is not a Chevrolet, but a Toyota driver. That's Carl Edwards. I know he did lead some laps here in Martinsville in the spring, but just did not get the finish he wanted. But just something about that team, how Carl Edwards runs there. I know the whole story back in 2011 when he had to get out of Martinsville at the top 10 finish, and he did, before tying Tony Stewart on points. But just something about that, Tom. I just don't know right now with that 19.
All right, final question before I close it out, and I'll let each of you have about 20, 30 seconds here, so I'm putting you on the clock. Tom and Kyle, Tom first. Can Matt Crafton still win the truck championship?
Well, mathematically he can, but if you're asking me
realistically,
what I really think is realistic, no. I don't think. I think it is down to a 2-truck race now, and I also think that Eric Jones and Tyler Reddick, I think this is going to be a lot tighter than everybody thinks, because something tells me that somewhere along the line, Eric Jones is going to have that one little thing that really tightens this up. I think Tyler chases him all the way to the finish line at Homestead.
Oh, and yeah, Tom, I agree with you. I think Eric Jones is going to still win this championship. I picked him preseason. I still think he's going to win. I think he has a great chance to win this weekend, in that really close battle with Matt Crafton and Joey Logano in April. So really looking forward to this weekend, guys, and hopefully y'all watch it.
Too.
I'm looking forward to it, too. As we say goodnight tonight on the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show, we throw a checkered flag, but we also send our congratulations out to the big boss here at the Performance Motorsports Network. Woo-hoo! Today was Bob Steele's birthday, and he didn't tell us how young he is, but you know what? We're giving him some cake, Bob. We have celebrations and cheers for you. So from all of us here at the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show and our whole Race Chaser crew.
He forgot.
Yeah, I'm not even going to go there. But happy birthday, Bob. And, well, you know, he started out producing this show. Big Mike took over the reins. And we salute Big Mike, too, for being behind the glass every Thursday night for us here on the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show. Visit stockcarsteel.com and SRI-supplies.com for more on our partners at Stock Car Steel and SRI Supplies. And right now, for Tom, Kyle, and the rest of our crew, I'm Jacob Seelman. Race fans, keep it off the wall until we meet again. And we might just see you at the racetrack. Have a safe racing weekend. Good night.
You've been listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on the Performance Motorsports Network. Tonight's show is brought to you by Stock Car Steel and Aluminum and SRI Supplies. For all of your racing needs, visit stockcarsteel.com and SRI-supplies.com. Keep up with the latest motorsports news every day on Race Chaser Online. The Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show is a copyrighted production of the Performance Motorsports Network. www.performancemotorsportsnetwork.com. A member of the Scorpion Radio Group, Inc., and may not be rebroadcast, replicated, or saved in any media without the explicit written permission of PMN. Check out our Facebook page or our section on the PMN website. The opinions expressed on this program are those of the host, co-hosts, and guests, and do not necessarily reflect those of the management and ownership of either the Performance Motorsports Network or Scorpion Radio Group Incorporated, the advertisers, or the marketing partners. Be listening again next week for more great motorsports programming right here on the Performance Motorsports Network.